You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present, so the content is killer. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast. I'm Leon Barnes. I am your host. Every single week for the Collective Genius, I get a chance to catch up with longtime members, new members, and people that have been maybe at their first meeting here at our meetings that we do every single quarter. We're at Q1, Dallas, Texas. Beautiful JW Marriott here in the Arts District of Dallas, Texas. We got people walking down to see the Dallas Stars hockey team play Las Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, I almost said Gladiators for some reason. So we've got a lot of great things going on here at this meeting. CG Premier and CEO. Next to me, I don't have a new member. I have a longtime member with us. He might have been half of his life now.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
With the Collective Genius. This young man has always been one of my favorites. He's such a inspiration from the standpoint of what you can do when you set your mind to something. I also love living vicariously through him because he's always traveling, living in places like Italy and all these other different places. Please welcome in longtime CG member, Mr. Gino Palomba. Welcome in, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Leon.
Always good to see you. We miss you on the basketball court, man. You're our enforcer.
I got a reputation. Whether it depends which team I'm on, if it's good or not. But
you're too young to know who Rick Mahorn is with the Detroit Pistons. But man, back in the day when they had the bad boys and they went back-to-back champions, they had this one enforcer. His name was Rick Mahorn, and some people remember Bill Laimbeer as that enforcer as well. I like Rick Mahorn because your game is like that. You are so solid. It's hard to move you, and you're physical. So every team needs a Gino on their squad, and every team that you've had, you obviously have had to challenges, and we're talking about major challenges here that we're all trying to overcome here at this meeting, and you just got off stage presenting, so I wanted to make sure, we haven't had you on the pod in a while, so I wanted to bring you in. Why don't you give people, for those that haven't seen you in a while, or maybe didn't miss your first pod, give them a quick brief overview of where you're at and what you do.
Yeah, so we're a real estate wholesaling company in Metro Atlanta. I currently live in Italy, but I've been doing this business for about 8 years now, mostly wholesale, some fix and flip. On average, we'll do anywhere from 85 to 100 deals a year. Goal this year is to be at $3 million in revenue, and we have a team of about 15 people on our team.
So before he got out of college, you were already doing $1 million of gross?
Yeah, I did a 1.5 in my senior year.
Senior year of college, this young man did $1.5 million. There's very few. Maybe you're the only one. Steve Trang reached out to me and said, hey, there's this young man that I'm telling you is the real deal, and he just happens to still be in college. His name is Gino. I was like, he's in college and he's doing 1.5?
Yeah, it was
like, I know that you wanted to get a college degree, and that was important to you for your family to get that. But where does one find drive to do something like that in college?
I had I'm lucky that my father was an entrepreneur as well. Not in real estate, but I saw that growing up, that the opportunity that he got to hang out with us, got to do whatever he wanted, when he wanted. And so since I was young, I was, selling shoes. I would go to line up for Kobe's at Finish Line before they
flipping shoes.
I sold coolers. I did all these creative things. And so finally I just was sitting down. It was my sophomore year of college. YouTube video came up and it said like how to buy real estate with no money, or like how to do real estate with no money, real estate investing. So Max Maxwell video, and it just instantly got me hooked. And I think what for me was always just what got me the drive, just keep challenging. Grew up doing sports and just keep pushing myself. And so, I saw that opportunity. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was doing entrepreneur stuff my whole life. Never had a job at that point. Never worked for anyone else. And I was like, this looks like an opportunity. Let's go. So it was. I'm very grateful. I took it on.
What a cool story. You saw this is, parents, I love being a parent because the influence that you can have on the next generation and their kids, and the impact that you can have on future generations of your family bloodline. Excuse me. Your dad had that for you. You were able to see the impact of the flexibility that your dad had as an entrepreneur. Obviously that laid heavy on your decision to go into real estate. obviously building a business while in college. And as you've gotten out, Atlanta's one of the hottest markets, has been for a very long time, a very competitive market. How do you feel like, the last few years, like most people, especially in markets where institutions have been buying, they had to, we talked earlier with Pat Martin, that had to reset, rebuild, and audit, and all these type of things. I'm guessing you've had to make some changes over the years.
Yeah, I mean, we switched a lot of our, like you said, 2020, 2021, 2022, it was an easy button.
Yep.
You could sell either to the institutional investors at that time. Open Door was buying heavily in Atlanta, and they're buying to flip, and they were paying extreme prices. But yeah, I mean, the last 3 or 4 years have been a grind. A lot of learning lessons, a lot of people problems and people solving, and learning, where the hiccups could come up in the future. And so, yeah, I mean, what I'm looking forward to now is that I feel like we have a great team constantly developing, and use those last 3 to 4 years of battle to help us now when the next opportunity goes, so we can win the war and we can take on and gain a little bit more market share. So I think a lot of people, you're familiar with, and a lot of people in that market, they either left the market or stopped wholesaling because of the losing the opportunity just to quickly sell to investors. We've pivoted. We sold on MLS a lot. Thanks for the things we've learned in CG from other team members, like Ren taught us that in 2022. So it got us ahead of the curve. So, I mean, overall, like I said, the last 3 or 4 years been a grind up and down, but I'm looking forward to taking that market share now and take it for the next 40 years of doing this, 50 years of doing it.
You got a long runway ahead of you, and I'm so, jealous at it, because what you've built you're still in your 20s, right?
26.
26, man, still 4 years away from 3-0.
From big 30 to the old age, right?
I can tell you this, big 30 is not a big. For me, 50, it will be the first time I say big. 40 was nothing, 30 was nothing, and 50 is like, okay, now I know that I'm on the other side. But that said, 50 is still young, especially in this time and age. But, at these meetings, for those that are listening and watching, if you've been following us, you know that every quarter we do these podcasts, and we give value as much as we can, the same value that's being given on the stage. And, there's pain points for every single entrepreneur out there. Every single one of you are building a business, and the only way that you can build a business is you got to build teams first. You got to invest in people. Invest in people, you grow businesses. It's really not that complicated. Can be difficult, but it's not that complicated. So most of the pain points that we've been covering on the pod here at this event have been mostly lead driven. How do I get the lead? How do I get the appointment? How do I get the contract? How do I get it to close? Our last podcast, we talked a lot about selling on the other side of that. Obviously, you still have to, once you can do all those things right, you got to sell the asset. If you bought it right, you still got to be able to sell it. We're going to go in a different angle here, because this is something that I know everybody will be able to relate with. No matter where you are in your business, you as the leader of that business are working on continuing to grow. Some of you may say, hey, I don't necessarily want to scale to a big business. That's okay, but you still have to continue, just to maintain, you have to continue to reiterate and grow and scale, to a point where you are hopefully not just you doing everything. Gino's gotten to a point in his business where he's starting to leverage the people that, the team that he's built, because he's built a good team, and he's trying to find the best way to do that. And his presentation was on practical AI. A lot of people talk about artificial intelligence, right? It's a buzz topic in our industry. But a lot of times when people are talking about AI, they're not talking about using it in practical day-to-day uses. You're talking about what's to come. Here's the future. Well, what are you doing right now with it? And I think what you presented on is something that people on the other side of this right now can hear or see in this interview and say, oh, that's something I might be able to do. So you have found a way to use AI as a visionary leader, founder of your company, to help with force ranking the things, the ideas that you have, to get them to your team, and more importantly, rank them. And then how do they go about executing it? I don't want to take too much thunder away, but that's the overarching kind of theme. But give some more filler into those details.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was the issue we're solving is the time it takes to want to get your idea. Hopefully you don't lose it, right? Because like the presentation I talked about, we're definitely, none of us in this room, in this program, we're not short of ideas. And
Right.
So a lot of the times, right, we'll get ideas, and if we don't run them anywhere, they're gone. You're never going to find. And even if you think there's such a good idea, it'll come back 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And so the time of execution, I mean, we just wasted 2 weeks in that point. Or you put it on Notepad, or you put it somewhere, and just there's no plan that gets placed. And even if there is a plan, you might write it in your sauna, you might be good and get your plan down, but there is no implementation set up. So what my team created for me, my executive assistant,
Even better.
Yeah, my executive assistant, she was able to build something without any code experience. And what it is it's a tool that where I can talk into it, I can use it as an app, I have it as, or a website as a workspace. I can talk into it. It transcribes my idea or problem, and then it will send it to Claude. Claude will put an execution plan in place. It'll tell what needs to happen, who needs to be involved, and how does success look like, or what does success look like. It then will push that automatically to my task manager, which is Asana. It'll use 4 categories based on my voice transcription, what I told it is, either urgent and important. If it's urgent and important, I do it, and I do it now, right? If it's like a huge, again, that's rare, but if it gets to a point where it's a very important idea, urgent, important, I do it now. Then there's important but not urgent. I do it, but I just do it later. So I have that. These are getting columns in my task manager. Then I have not important, not urgent. That's like, hey, my executive assistant, it goes into that column. She knows that means delete whatever that is. Again, it could be an idea, but more importantly, it could be just something on my mind. Hey, why do we have this in place? I could be walking my dog. I could be in my car driving. I could be playing basketball, coming on break, quickly put on a voice memo and share what's on my mind. And so the reality is, once it gets into that Asana field or Asana column, each column has a different wavelength or a different timeline for when it sets an appointment on my calendar. And it only touches me on the urgent and important and the not urgent and important section. It will then take that execution plan that's in Asana, put it in the meeting notes on my calendar, and it will tag whenever the soonest availability time is, if it's an urgent and important task, it will tag my director of whatever department it belongs to that. So again, a minute, I can have not only the idea stored, I have a plan built, I have it put in my task manager on the proper column, and then I also have a calendar meeting set up to how we can implement the idea. So problem solving is the fact of the time from idea to implementation.
Right.
And this is what I found is it's helped a lot with us.
No matter how great the idea is, if you don't have a plan of execution, it won't be great.
Yeah.
Right. It could be a great idea. And, a lot of times as visionaries, the best thing that a COO could ever do, and believe me, I've served in this role, is to not tell the visionary to stop sending me all these quirky ideas, because those quirky ideas are what make the future. Those quirky ideas sometimes are the new lifeblood of that organization and may one day be the most revenue that company is. So as a COO, you never want to say, stop throwing all that stuff on the wall and hoping it sticks. What you want to do as a COO is you want to say, all right, these 5 that you just gave me, they're all good, but this one is highest and best and easiest to implement and give us the most amount of revenue with the least amount of effort and in the quickest amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? I'm going to take that. You've built a system that is basically not only, it allows you to say this is super important, and then instead of a CEO thinking, or any department.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me see. Where would I start with that? You already have an execution plan to say, this is what you start with, this is next, and it's already down the line by the time they don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
You've taken all the guesswork out of it. You already know it's the highest and best. Now they could still come back and say, that idea is good, but this one's better that you sent me yesterday. Let's flip-flop those.
Yeah,
so they can still get feedback on that.
That's what I was telling people, that this is all customizable, and more importantly, it's to create thought-provoking ideas.
Yes.
It's to get it down.
Yes.
And so that my guy can say, he sees that one, no, let's move it to 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Let's move it to a week. But at least we got it down, because again, the bigger problem we have is that we either lose the idea or there's no, even if we have the idea, there's no execution plan, right? So
what this makes me, really think of is, we just said a lot of things there. And if you're listening to this and you're working out, or if you're listening to this while you're, on a plane or something like that, you might say, man, there's a lot of details there, but can I get a practical example? You have any ideas recently that you've pushed through this way that have gone from idea to actually a process or a plan for execution?
Yeah. So like I presented on, I did one on retail, starting a retail department.
Okay.
So I put that plan in place later last week, and we had a meeting about it with my marketing team, and we're already, again, so we have leads in our system as a wholesale company.
Right. So explain that.
Yeah.
Retail.
Yeah, sorry. So we're a home buying company, direct to seller marketing. We get a bunch of leads in our system that don't fit the wholesale or investor criteria lead type, right? The ones that we can get a discount, or ones that are motivated. Leads that are motivated in selling. That's probably 20, if that 15% of all of our leads. So the other 80 to 85% of our leads are people that would just go to the traditional route of selling their home on the market. So I know it's a common problem, and I hear a lot of people in CG referring those leads to realtors so that they can get a certain percentage of it.
Referral fee.
Yeah, referral fee. So I put the idea in place, like how could I implement it within one day, and then we had the meeting, and of course it had an execution plan, and it's not perfect like you're saying, but at least it just creates thought provoking, it gets people thinking, and I can edit it. I can say, hey, I'd take this out, do that. But anyway, we had that meeting, and already now we're searching, and we have 2 potential hires that we can bring on as realtors that could start working these retail departments. It told us what percentage we should give them. Of course, I obviously seek counsel of other people, but that was just quick implementation. And to be honest, that's something I've been thinking about for 2 years.
Yeah.
But now we got things in motion. It just takes one domino to fall, and next thing you know, like, we're going to be at the finish line hopefully and get some of this start paying off.
Well, this has got my wheels spinning, because when I think about what you've created, it gives employees defined plans of execution. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but you've already started them down the road. And then you can come to a group like this, because as you're saying this, I think of a few members, one in particular, that does $1 million a month in assignments. But he also does $500,000 to $800,000 a month in projected revenue on the retail side.
Yeah.
Now you think about that, $1.5 to $2 million a month in revenue, and half to, let's say 50 to 70% of what he's doing on the assignments is doing on the retail side.
Yep.
So I take now the idea, the execution, now I come and fill in the gaps with people that already have the blueprint of success of doing that. And it'll take time, but that's what a group like this is for. I got this idea. Now I know I have 5 to 10 people in here that are doing it at a high level. Let me go have the conversations with them and now continue to build that out. And over time you look up, and now instead of just getting referral checks once a week for $1,500 or whatever it is, now you got an actual business that could potentially double or at least grow your business by at least 50%.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I see when I hear that. It also makes me think of one other thing. You're, again, probably too young. Didn't watch a lot of Seinfeld.
No, I think my mom was watching it when she had me. That's the extent of how I know it.
Oh my gosh, sometimes forget that I'm old enough that I could be your dad.
1999.
Yeah, wow. But it reminds me of, now I didn't watch Seinfeld back in the 90s. I actually watched it later because all my friends had all these, Seinfeld isms that they would use. And I'm like, I don't get that at all. I later went back and watched it on Netflix, and there's one particular episode where Jerry is a comedian, and everything that he does, and he thinks of this great idea in his sleep, and he always had a notepad beside his desk, and he would write that down. And then he would sometimes forget, he couldn't read his writing, and he couldn't actually think of the punchline and the joke, put it together. Well, if he had this, he would have been an even better comedian than he already is. That's
perfect. Yeah,
that's where my brain went.
30, 25 years later, if they had it. Yeah. AI back then.
Yeah, he would have done better. I mean, he's pretty poor as it is, right?
Yeah, I've heard he's pretty well off for himself. He's doing okay.
$100 million a year, apparently, from Seinfeld residuals.
Oh, really?
Still coming through.
We need him as some CG. Bring him in here as some
CEO
private
member.
money lender. Yeah.
That's right. All right. So that was a great presentation, man. Applicable uses of AI. Outside of that, what are you most excited for? And we've got, through the first quarter of 2026, what are you most excited about?
I'm very excited about our team and where we're developing them into becoming better at the in-person approach. For the first seven and a half years, my whole company and business was built on virtual offers, virtual appointments completed. The latter of 2025, the last 6 months of 2025, we switched to that in-person, but it took time to get the reps used to going in person. And now we had one of our best Januaries ever. February followed up, even though it's one less week, was on pace to beat January.
Great.
And I believe it's all just now the guys are getting the reps in and the confidence.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for that and see where that leads us.
Good plan in place, good people, and good things happened. I thought for sure you would say living in Italy, but how is living abroad? How's Italy treating you?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a whole nother world over there, another culture. It's great. I get to wake up 6 hours usually before anyone even starts working in the Eastern Coast, since I'm 6 hours ahead. So it's I get to do a lot of things, enjoy the scenery, go to the coffee shop, meet some of my friends there, just enjoy the that atmosphere, and it helps me again start thinking thought-provoking earlier in the day.
Yes,
and so that way, by the time I start, I'm already got a lot of execution done. I got a lot of plans figured out, and I know what I'm doing to tackle.
You're basically getting up at, what is that, 2 a.m.?
Yeah, exactly.
1 or 2 a.m. our time. Yep. You're definitely ahead of the game. You're also ahead of the game, my friend, and many, many years ahead for the business that you built, the lifestyle. You truly are living the type of lifestyle that a lot of people that are listening to this want to grow, and it's very inspirational. If people want to follow you and the European and all the trips and all that stuff and the business, what's the best way for them to find you?
Just on Instagram. It's Gino, Gino Palomba, Palomba.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you as always being on the show and the value that you gave on the stage today here.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Leon. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Gino. We need to get you back on the basketball court. Hopefully when I'm healthy.
Yeah, I'll wait for you. I know that one's maybe not a good thing.
Hopefully we can get you back on the court here soon. We also hope that you are listening to this and are inspired and want to be in a room with people like Gino that, is 26 years old and has grown a very successful business and continues to work on that business, obviously presenting value to people, double his age, while also living abroad and growing a great team. There's so many good things there. He has a blueprint of growing that business, and you too should be in the room and networking with guys like Gino. The best way to get into this room, go to our website, explorecg.com. There you'll find our application. Fill that application out. You have a consult on this side. If it's a great fit, we'll make it work on this side, vice versa. Good fit for both sides. We'll make sure that we let you know what the next steps are, but you have to do the first step. And the first step is filling out that application at explorecg.com. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the kind notes, support, all of that you send our way. Please like and subscribe and all those things that the young kids do these days. Appreciate you. We will see you next week on the Collective Genius Podcast.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius Podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.